We are at item 13, discussion and possible action on a rezone for Gregory Thompson, owner storage shop, to develop storage units located at W239 S3881 Big Bend Road, tax keys WAKT 135 1996000 and WAKT 135 1996001. This is 3 sub-points to it. 13A is discussion by the Plan Commission Village Board. 13B is possible action by the Plan Commission. And 13C is possible action by the Village Board. Has Sean sufficiently outlined and gone through page 7 on his report about the rezoning? Does everybody understand what this is all about? All right, so further discussion about the rezoning of the Plan Commission before we take action. I mean, I'll jump in and the rest of you can. I mean, I have some other issues of concern, but I support the rezoning of the subject property from R2 residential district or residence district to B3 general business district. That's been consistent, I believe, with our land use plan for over 10 years. So in terms of the land use, I support the rezoning. Anybody else? Your chance to speak. Or if you're prepared to make a motion, somebody can proceed. Come on, folks, the evening's dragging on. We got to do something.
I make a motion that we accept hopefully I say this correctly, I apologize, that we accept the approval of the rezoning request for Gregory Thompson, DBA Storage Shop USA, for the property located at West 239 South 3881 and West 239 South 3899 Big Bend Road, Waukesha, Wisconsin 53189.
Okay,
Did I say it correctly?
That's great. For
Okay.
Plan Commission,
It's got to be subject to the conditions, or else it's not a conditional rezoning, and none of that stuff that he offered to do will be included. So, you got those in there, right, Sean, your conditions?
The conditions I just read before are.
That's got to be
Right.
part of the motion.
okay, so specifically then,
Oh.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say anything. It's the conditions on page 7 under the rezoning and stuff.
Right, so it's
it's
conditions 1 through
I see.
5. Will you accept that as a friendly amendment to your motion?
Absolutely. Thank you for helping.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, so the motion is by Commissioner Cisney, seconded by Commissioner Stigler, to approve the rezoning, subject to the 5 conditions that appear on the report from Planner Malarkey on page 7. Is there any further discussion? And this first will be a vote by the Plan Commission, of which there are 5 of us. Any further discussion? Okay, then we'll proceed to vote. Plan Commission, all members in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that passes 5 in favor, none opposed. Would the village board like to act on this matter?
I make a recommendation to accept the Plan Commission's recommendation.
Okay, the motion, so it's to concur with or approve accept the motion from the Plan Commission for the rezoning, subject to the 5 conditions. So the motion is made by Trustee German. Someone else on the village board?
Oh, second.
Okay, so seconded by Trustee Kalinsky. Any further discussion on that? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
So that is approved 5-0 by the village board for the rezoning. Item 14, discussion possible action on proposed exchange of property between lots for Gregory Thompson, owner storage shop, to develop storage units located at W239S3881 Big Bend Road. Tax keys WAKT 135-199-6000 and WAKT 135-199-6001. Sub A is discussion by the Plan Commission Village Board. Sub B, possible action by the Plan Commission. Sub C, possible action by the Village Board. Sean, you probably need to walk us through this, please.
Yeah, quickly, so any exchange of land between properties or sale of land between properties requires plan commission approval just to make sure that the lots that are being created are just or legal and meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance or land division ordinance. And so, in this case, the lot's being adjusted so that it basically encapsulates the residential home on the northeast portion and leaves the remainder for the business use. Again, the residential property would stay zoned residential. That was not being proposed as changes. Both the lots meet the requirements of the zoning districts that they would be in. The small residential lot needs to be at least 30,000 square feet. It is. I originally had a note in my staff report on page 2 that the south lot line of the residential lot would be moved north to provide at least a 5-foot buffer from the driveway, as well as provide us a 10-foot offset as required from the sign. And so, in this updated plan that you see up here, you can see now where access is off the Big Bend Road and doesn't go through. That lot line is more than 5 feet north. It looks like the monument sign is still too close. I know he's offered to move it to the south side. We're not at that point yet in terms of the signage, so it could be, the sale or exchange of land could be approved as shown on this updated plan. It meet the zoning and so on. We just have to move the sign. So I do have conditions on page, starting on the very bottom of page 6 onto page 7, that the petitioner would satisfy all comments, conditions, and concerns of the Plan Commission, engineer and planner with regard to documentation of the proposed exchange of land. I talked about the south lot line being moved. That no longer has to be the case. We could include a condition that the sign would need to be moved at least 10 feet away. Yeah, and then what was brought up by Attorney Macy was that as part of the recording, that the right of way be dedicated to the village.
So we would just add that as a condition?
As a third condition.
Okay.
The question go ahead.
I have just one comment in my site plan of operation review, which kind of piggybacks onto what we're talking about right now. In addition, I recommend that a surveyor perform the necessary monumentation as part of the approval before occupancy.
A question in looking at the drawing then, and I think this, I mean, it's seemingly this has to tie into the next item, which is site plan or plan of operation. The predicate for this is that that's a 24-foot driveway, so this would, I mean, where that lot line is being positioned there, it's predicated on that being a driveway, and then this precludes any possibility of a through street or even a cul-de-sac coming back into there. Is that true? I mean, we'd be taking that step at this point in time, would preclude that?
With the sale or exchange, with the sale or exchange of land or with the site plan of operation?
No, if we do this with the exchange of property, I mean, is that creating the, I mean, is this setting the table for the new property line there north of that, right there? I mean, are we setting the table for that property line being located there?
That's what's going to happen if this is approved, yes.
Which would preclude the possibility of running, as the DOT had suggested, a public street through there, and it would preclude effectively the possibility of bringing a cul-de-sac partway onto the property as a public road from 164.
Not necessarily. I mean, if this is 24 feet, that would be the north side of the right-of-way. the south side of the right-of-way would be somewhere down here, and the cul-de-sac could dip to the south if need to be.
Okay, well, is there a dimension on there? How far is it from
Yeah,
the
I could-
driveway
I-
to where that's proposed to be?
Certainly, let me just calibrate this to get the scale. So the driveway from where?
Well, I mean,
So-
a 66-foot right-of-way with a 24 feet of pavement, what does that leave? 21?
So 66
Feet then or
is-
something?
66 is here.
But I mean, then, where that's showing that property line, that the pavement would be way off center relative to that right-of-way.
It would be off-center. That's true.
So what are we trying to understand, if we would do a cul-de-sac in the future?
Why would the cul-de-sac come from Big Bend Road, though?
I'm not saying it, I'm not saying it
Oh, you're
would.
saying if it came from the other way?
Yeah. I'm saying is that putting the property line there sets the table for, it can't be a through public road, which I don't advocate for any way, and it would really shorten the distance. You could come back with a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, it would, yes.
Okay. And I guess just for what it's worth, I understand we may have differences of opinion. I'm probably not inclined to support that, because that sets the table for the whole issue for the site plan and plan of operation for access. So, that's my comment. Who else would like to weigh in?
I'm sorry, can you help me understand? You wouldn't support the exchange
With the lot line in that location.
because it wouldn't support a cul-de-sac in the future? I don't
Correct.
understand,
Yeah, yes.
so you're worried that sometime in the future, with the access from 164, should the property be redeveloped or something of that nature, that we might find ourselves in a situation where a street would come from 164?
No, I'm not worried about the future. I don't support the access coming off of Big Bend Road at this point in time. So for
Oh,
me, it's
okay.
about today, not the future.
Oh, okay, I just couldn't figure out why we were talking about a cul-de-sac.
Sure. Who else?
I'm kind of confused too, I guess, at this point. What's the alternative here if you don't do that? I mean, are we going to deny the joining of the two lots, and for what? What's the next step then?
At this point in time, if you were, well, I guess the choices are, for me, and I'm just expressing my point of view, I don't think the DOT has provided any justification for denying the access off of 164. And I mean, if you're asking my point of view, I think they should be asked to provide an explanation or justification for that.
Okay, who's going to do the asking? I mean, is that something you think the petitioner should do, or is the village prepared to?
I guess I don't, at the moment, necessarily have an opinion about that. I mean, if the petitioner doesn't support that or want that, that's one thing, but I don't know, maybe Attorney Macy, do you have any suggestions about that? Who ought to pursue that or not? Is that something the village could or should do or not?
Well, I can't speak to should, that's a policy decision. It's
Fair
something
enough.
they could, press the state, as you commented previously, or others commented previously during the hearing, on the rezoning. You said, well, we could go back to them and request additional explanation.
I mean, if you're asking me, and I'm just one point of view here, I would basically table this matter, and I would press the state for an answer. That's what I'd do.
Living on the road for 35 years now, the state does not, once they say what this letter states is all they're going to give us.
Okay, other comments? What would you like to do? with regard to item 14, discussion possible action on proposed exchange of property between lots.
If we approve this, what we're doing is approving the access to Big Bend Road as part of this, correct?
Well, you would be limiting the potential location for an access point. You wouldn't say, you're not granting access by approving exchange of land, but based on President Fisher's comments is that by setting that southern lot line where it is, you're essentially limiting where the access would be onto Big Bend Road, if it's approved, if the site plan's approved.
Yeah, but it would be on Big Bend Road, yes.
I think it sets the table for that.
Yeah.
Plan Commission, you prepared to act? Or further discussion or comments?
Well, the petitioner's already stated he's not gonna do that. I mean, he's pretty much said, he's exhausted his options as far as getting access from 164. So, I mean, if we're gonna be adamant about pursuing that, is it that, that should be on our dime then, I think, if you're gonna do that, and I'm not sure what, I mean, if it's all it's gonna take is a letter from the village president or whoever to explain yourselves from the DOT's point, I guess that's not out of the question, but as David has said, the DOT is pretty adamant about saying no. Once they say no, they mean no.
Go ahead.
I just have again, a comment of obviously he gave us, the amount of traffic that would be entering and coming and going off his property, off of Big Bend Road, if that's the way it would go. My question is, again, I'm gonna bring it again, the north and south properties eventually, where are they gonna come from? Because I think at the last meeting, we also was asking if they would give us access rights to the north and south on his property, which would eliminate a lot of his condominium projects that would be going on there, what he probably would not be likely to do. But I think that I don't want to be the guy that says no and have future issues of the north and south properties. That's all I have. If the amount of traffic I can see isn't that great, I understand that. I just don't want to be in a bind in the town here, the town's issues here, and the north and south properties. That's all I have. And if we can make that work, and I'm all for it.
Okay, Plan Commission, are you prepared to act?
I really have a problem tabling it, but I also don't want to exhaust the option of possibly getting that road coming in from the 164, but I really don't think that's possible. That's my opinion on it, and I think the man needs to have a decision made here one way or another. We've been beating this horse up for 2 months now.
Okay, is there a motion? Is there a motion to approve the proposed exchange of property between lots for Gregory Thompson?
Okay, I'll make the motion to do that.
Okay.
If there's a second, we can approve
Is there
it, fine.
second to the motion?
I second the motion.
Okay, so the motion was made by trustee Stigler, seconded by Commissioner Piala to approve the proposed exchange of property between lots for Gregory Thompson. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Do we have, I want to make sure we've got 3 in favor.
In favor.
1, 2, 3 in favor, so we've got trustee Stigler, Commissioners Piala and Sisney in favor, Commissioner White and President Fisher opposed. So that's approved 3-2.
Don't we need 4?
No, it's not.
We need 4 of the
Yes, I think Attorney Macy is correct. It's a good reminder on that. We need a majority of total number of members of the Plan Commission. Is that in fact correct?
No, you need 4 affirmative votes by the Plan Commission
Right.
as I read your
A
ordinance.
total, you need a majority of the total number of the members, not members present. I think we're saying the same thing, correct?
Yes.
It needs 4 votes. So that does not pass then, okay? So that does not move on then to the
Brian?
village board, correct?
Brian, can I make a comment here
Sure.
before we do that? I mean, I'd pass because I really like this development. It's awesome. And and I know that we've done it in the past, so I'll pull my vote back. I just want to, the access is my issue. And I know it ain't guaranteed it's black and white where it's gonna go, but obviously this is more likely where it's gonna go. I just like your development. It's huge. And we need it in the town of Waukesha.
With all due respect, why does that change your vote? Because it doesn't pass.
I want it to pass.
Then why didn't you vote
Okay,
for
well,
it?
hold on, okay. Time out for a minute. I mean, I guess we're gonna go this, does anyone object to allowing Commissioner White to change his vote? I don't object to that. If you want to vote in the affirmative,
I do.
all right, then we have 4 voting aye and 1 voting nay. So that passes the Plan Commission, then we'll go to the village board.
It doesn't take board action, it's only plan commission approval.
Okay, that's not the way it is noticed on our agenda.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but it's,
Is that in fact the case?
I can look it up for you, but I'm.
Let's
almost
do it,
positive.
so we don't stumble over that.
Poor guy's been coming back here since January. Everybody likes to ride.
It doesn't bother me. I'm just curious.
Do you remember, Mr. President, where we always find that Plan Commission rule?
Not off the top of my head, no,
It's been a weird for you.
I don't.
Site plan of operation.
Here it is, 20-62 in the land division ordinance. It says, in the middle of the paragraph, the town plan commission review shall be limited to considering whether the conveyance is in compliance with the statutes and applicable laws, laws of this ordinance. And then, so it only mentions the plan commission.
Okay, do we agree on that then?
No, wasn't there an amendment?
I don't know. I'm just reading the current ordinance.
I don't know what's this code book is approved through, what date?
Let's just vote and say yes. It's gonna hurt.
We'll go with it, if that's the code book.
Does it hurt
Do we-
just to do as it says on the agenda?
Not necessarily, no.
I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation of the plan commission on the land division for Gregory Thompson.
I'll second it.
And in this instance, I would say you should concur, because it isn't a recommendation if it's an actual action.
Thank you, my motion is to concur.
Okay, the motion is made by trustee Dur and seconded by trustee German to concur with the recommendation of Plan Commission. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. So we have 4 voting aye, and I'm voting nay. Okay, we'll go to item 15 then, discussion, possible action on site plan, plan of operation, and sign request for Gregory Thompson Owner Storage Shop to develop storage units located at W239 S3881 Big Bend Road, Tax Keys, WAKT 135-199-6000 and WAKT 135-199-6001. This is noticed as discussion by the Plan Commission, Village Board, and possible action by the Plan Commission, possible action by the Village Board. Is that correct, that this takes action by both the Plan Commission and the Village Board for site plan, plan of operation?
Correct.
The sign
Okay.
request is only the.
Sign request would be the board.
Correct. Okay, Sean, you want to go any further with this, or you got some conditions?
I'd like to just hit a couple of points. We've seen, so what you have up on the screen here is the modified site plan. There's not a lot of detail here in terms of landscaping or grading, other things, but this is just the general site plan. You can see this is the version that was modified by the petitioner, assuming that he didn't have to include access to 164, or wouldn't be given access to 164. So this is a modification. This is a single drawing. There's no complete plan set for everything else based on this drawing. All the rest of the plans are based on the drawing where access came through to 164. So I just want to make the point that if anything is approved tonight in any regard, we still need updated plans to review at least at a staff level, if not at a plan commission and board level. So that's my first comment. We've talked about the plan of operation. We've talked about the uses already. I noted a couple things about architecture. We've looked at the architecture before on this particular project. You can see by the dark lines that are drawn on the plan itself. That's where the more intensive finished materials were tended to be, with the brick accents and other things. We also talked about last time around where some of the wood, the vertical wood. Let me just find some architectural drawings so you can relate to what I'm saying. Here somewhere. So the buildings are basically a combination of the brick and the horizontal lap siding and then the vertical wood panels that were sort of in the eave. And we talked last time about the Plan Commission might be willing to accept some of these as part of finished materials for the project, because we normally require masonry for 50% of commercial buildings that are facing a public road, and it's got to wrap around at least 30 feet as it wraps around the building. And there was some back and forth about the different materials and what would be required. And so the overhead doors obviously face the internal driveways, so this is sort of a look at that. Here's a side look at the building, and then this is the elevations between the buildings where it's just horizontal siding where you don't see much of it. So in my staff report, I kind of list, hey, this elevation's got 30% of this, 40% of this, and it all differs. None of it really matches exactly what we require normally for 50% masonry or other finished material. The way the ordinance is written is that the Plan Commission basically determines what a finished material is for a project. And so I could spend 20 minutes going through specifics of each of these, but I would just say that it's varied. And so each elevation is a little bit different. Each has a different amount of materials, but there are certain elevations, the ones that were outlined in bold that face the public streets, have a bit more of the brick facade that's associated with them. I would also mention landscaping. There's a landscape plan that was submitted. There's enough, and again, it's from the old plan, but there's enough landscaping that's in terms of the point totals. It meets the requirements of our ordinance. However, there's a discrepancy in that the stuff that's required for street frontages, the point totals aren't within 10 feet of a public street, so I think there needs to be a little bit of massaging of the landscape plan to make sure it meets the intent of the ordinance itself. Exterior lighting, there's no lighting plan that's submitted, however, all of the lights that are shown are downward facing on the buildings near the entrances. We talked about traffic and circulation, and we can talk about signage when we get to that. Chris, did you have anything to add about the site plan?
I do, but all my review is basically off of the old plan set as well, just because I didn't, quite honestly, like Mr. Thompson, probably know what we're gonna build yet.
Right, he was probably unsure, we don't have a full plan set yet for
Right,
everything.
exactly. But my comments, I think, would apply regardless. First one, site plan of operation should be contingent upon obtaining Waukesha County stormwater and erosion control approvals and providing a copy to the town. We understand that the property will be divided by exchange rather than divided by CSM, although we just talked about this. A survey map should be provided which shows the existing and proposed lot lines, easement, and utilities, and dedicating the right-of-way like we talked about. Recommend that a surveyor perform the necessary monumentation as a condition of occupancy. Number 3, we can strike because we're, I guess, not dealing with the DOT, but if we need to deal with the DOT, we need to get a DOT permit and provide a copy to the village. State-approved plumbing plans must be provided for the private sanitary sewer and private water system. We recommend that this is a condition of approval that is satisfied prior to the issuance of building permits. We recommend that the property deed restrictions and site plan of operation conditions of approval include strict no parking rules on the internal driveways. This will restrict two-way traffic and emergency access. We recommend that the driveways be designated as privately owned and maintained. We had talked about the retaining wall, but I don't know if that's gonna apply on that version there. And the landscape plan, I noticed 4 swamp oak trees are proposed to be planted along the top of the pond berm. We recommend that these trees be relocated as the trees can often contribute to detention pond failure. And that's all that I have at this time.
The last thing I'd like to add is that the updated site plan with the access only off of Big Bend Road there's 13 total buildings versus 12 in the one with the 3 streets, so that's a difference as well.
I guess a good question that I have got a bit in the last other members of the Plan Commission and the board and everything. What has everybody got in their packets? I mean, we have got, and I know we've got revised drawings and stuff. Does anybody have those in your packet?
What was in last month's packet?
But
Yeah.
haven't they been revised since then?
No, oh,
No, this was around last month as well.
So there are no changes to any of that?
No changes since last month, no.
Okay.
And again, we did have this updated site plan in our packet from last time. We never got to even talk about it because we didn't get past
Okay.
the public hearing.
Okay, questions, discussion, Plan Commission, Village Board? Plan Commission prepared to act?
I just have one comment if I could.
Sure.
If we do come with that Big Bend Road, that 24-foot right away there, since I would like to see no parking signs put up on that street coming in just for emergency vehicle situations.
That's a great point. There is a condition in my, if this is approved, one of the conditions is that prohibited parking vehicles may not extend in 24-foot driving lanes. Access drive and driving lanes must be clear of obstructions, vegetation, and snow at all times, and I could add the condition that the sign be posted.
Okay, further discussion, Plan Commission or Village Board?
We need more than a sign posted, we need an ordinance to make a no parking zone.
Well, it wouldn't be enforced by the village necessarily, it'd be enforced privately.
Oh, it's not on a big, it's not on the road, it's on
No,
their
it's on the
private.
internal private driveway, yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Okay, are you prepared to act, Plan Commission?
I have a question regarding that parking. I thought even on a private driveway, if you have posted the state statute, it can still be enforced by the police or sheriff.
I don't have an answer to that one. Attorney Mason, do you have any idea?
It depends how it's posted and what it is. If it's a fire lane, it probably can be.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
but if it's,
Otherwise, you could come and ask, as the private property owner, you could ask for the car to be towed if it's improperly parked on your property.
no. I'm pretty,
Okay, Plan Commission, are you prepared to act? Is there a motion?
I got one question about the hours. Are we gonna have 24/7, is that correct?
That's what was proposed by the petitioner, that the occupants of the properties could come at any time.
Anybody else have a problem with that, I guess? I'm not necessarily, but I guess I didn't think that.
But it'd be my guess that's less likely for the businesses and more likely for the hobbyists and people working on, cars and things like that, that might use those extended hours.
Other questions, comments, or is there a motion for action?
If I may, are all of your properties 24/7 at the present time? Have you ever,
I don't keep tabs of all of them, but for the most part, that's the way it works.
If I can just ask, is there a ordinance for operation for businesses? Like, is there a certain hours that they can and they
They're
can't?
considered on an individual basis.
They are. So I would say, I mean, I'm not opposed to businesses being the normal business hours, and if it's a business and it's operating as a business, I don't have a problem restricting that activity like that. But generally, if it's a hobbyist or something, they might be in their shop a little later or earlier, whatever.
Mr. Planner, you may want to change that condition then to read it's 24 hours unless further restricted by the plan of operation.
Are you saying, John, their individual plan of operation?
Right.
Is that what you
Right.
meant?
I did, Mr. Stiegler. Thank you for that clarification.
Any other questions, or are you prepared to act?
I would just note, so there's still outstanding, that the update of all the plans are still outstanding to match this version of it. So we don't have a condition in here. The only condition I have is the plans should be updated to remove the driveway connection to 164. But whether or not that gets approved by staff or that gets approved by the Plan Commission and Board is a question.
Well, are we prepared to make a motion at this point if we still have issues with the?
What I thought I heard the planner say is that if the planning commission is prepared to act, they should either make it conditioned upon staff's review of the final plans and approval, or you should make him come back with the final plans as reflected for for Big Bend access and be
Right.
approved by the plan commission, one of the two, which we shouldn't not do neither for sake of a double negative.
Right. If you do choose to approve, then it's gotta be
Right.
one of the two.
If you want to keep it moving, make it contingent upon the approval of the staff.
I'm just saying that the difference between this and the original one submitted is very minor. It's just that one building there, you're taking out the road. They're substantially the same. I mean, there'd be a few grading issues, or just some but a little bit of drainage stuff, which I think can be handled administratively, but again, to keep this moving along. But it's substantially the same as what was actually submitted.
I will make a motion to accept this plan of operations subject to the conditions that we discussed and the planner has put forward here on his report.
So that's the site plan and plan of operation, and it would be both the conditions from Planner Malarkey and Engineer Janelli, is that true?
This is true.
With two additional conditions. One is a modification that it's 24 hours subject to, if limited by a specific plan of operation for the entity. And secondly, the final plans being subject to approval by the village planner and village engineer.
Okay, that's the motion. Is there a second?
I mean, that's just one way you could say final plan's coming back, but I think the intent of the maker of the motion was to approve this tonight with conditions. Is that correct?
That's what I'm trying to move it forward, but if somebody else has a better way to do it, I guess I'm open to that too.
Do we have to say anything regarding that as new tenants come in, that this has to, not new buyers, new owners come in, that they have to go through the plan of operation procedure? Do we have to say anything in our?
We could clarify under condition 2 that says the site plan of operation approval is subject to petitioner complying at all plans and documents, and then just add a second sentence that says individual tenants must receive or must petition for individual plan of operation approval.
So currently and on an ongoing basis?
I mean, that would be before anybody occupies, true?
Well, he's got the he's got the site plan, yes, before any tenant comes in unless he's using it himself for, you know. But even that, we don't even know what the business would be, so yeah, you're right. He could build this, but no occupancy could be granted until.
But what about if it's not a business? I mean, what if I'm just buying it because I like to work on my cars? And, which I think is a focus of this development. That was the reference to the earlier development about the 3 businesses. Of the 12 or 13, however many he had there was only 3 businesses. It was fully occupied, but there was only 3 businesses. So the rest of them were just hobbyists or woodworkers or a guy who's got too much junk to keep in his garage. So I think it yields a good question, is how do we want to handle somebody who just buys it and says, I'm not running a business here?
Good point.
Well, the answer to that question is in the code. We have to go to the zoning district and find out whether everybody who occupies anything in that zoning district,
Okay,
certain things may not be allowed in that zoning district.
okay.
So what did we just rezone it to?
We zone it to B3, but we limit it to very specific paragraph that states what can and can't operate there. So in terms of the plan of operation, site plan of operation is required for it basically says, no person shall commence any use or erect any structure or addition with the exception of single-family and two-family dwellings, accessory buildings, or related structures without first obtaining approval of site plans, plans of operations, etc.
Any use. That covers it.
That's everything.
That's all of it.
So I believe Commissioner Piala's suggestion should be incorporated into the decision if the motion of Mr. Stiegler is a mind to accept it, and that's a language that the planner suggested he add to that condition, that they're at least put on notice that they have to get their own plan of operation approvals.
So are you okay with that friendly amendment?
Yes, I am.
Okay, was there a second then, or did we get that far?
I second.
Okay, so motions by trustee Stigler, second by Commissioner Piala. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So that passes 4-1 at the Plan Commission to the Village Board. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation of the planning commission.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by trustee German, second by trustee Dur. Any further discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye, so that passes 4-1. Okay. Thank you. Item 16, discussion possible action on an accessory building request for Bill Canfield, located at W274 S4649 Salesville Road, tax key WAKT 137-299-6001. This was tabled at the July 9th, 2020 Plan Commission and Village Board meeting. We need a motion to remove this from the table. Also move. Is there a second?
Second.
I have made the motion. Trustee Stigler seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Sean?
Sorry, I'm just switching gears here. So the petitioner was with us last month for an accessory building. We got hung up on materials for the building, and so they were asked to come back to provide information on updated materials to match the house instead of the barn on the other side of the building. And so, as required by our ordinance, it basically states that the materials should be complementary or coordinate with compatible with the principal residence. And so, this is what was provided. I don't know how much background information you'd like. If you do you want me to go into some more detail about the background of the site? I don't know how-
So the change in this building is we essentially went to horizontal?
Yeah, it was previously vertical
Okay.
siding, and it went to horizontal siding. I'm not maybe the petitioner can explain exactly what the material is in front of us.
Certainly, yes. My name is Bill Canfield, South 66 West 27890 River Road, Waukesha. At our previous meeting, it was discussed that we wanted a horizontal siding of the same width as what is on the house, and then with a color compatibility. And that's what I have here is a sample of a wood grain metal siding that, and this is, I don't have the actual, this is the color sample that goes with it, so.
So the face exposure is the bigger one, the color is the smaller one.
Correct.
Okay.
And the house is quarter log, half log?
Yeah, the house is a half log.
Right,
And-
okay.
And the customer, really, the owner would, that's really not their preference. They would like to move away from that. But this would have that same wood grain look. It's a long-lasting, maintenance-free material, and it's gonna have those same visual lines when you see it in the yard.
Is it about the same width as the log?
Yeah, it's like within a quarter inch.
So just so we understand that if we approve this evening, even though we take these on a case-by-case basis, we're somewhat making the decision that a half-log house is compatible with what they're presenting in the fact that they're similar in color and both horizontal, and that we're moving forward okay with asphalt shingles on the house being compatible with a metal roof. I mean, we'd have to be consistent in those decisions moving forward.
Right.
Even though each one is a case-by-case
It is.
basis.
And for the background, we have approved other accessory buildings with metal roofs where the house had asphalt shingles or something else,
One.
so.
I think one, right?
Right, but it's been done. I
It's
mean,
been done, yeah, I don't
Metal
disagree.
roofs are more and more common for houses and accessory
Okay.
buildings, and
I'm just trying to help everybody understand that, moving forward, we should work really hard to be consistent. That's all
That's
I'm saying.
Okay. I will move to approve the accessory building request for Bill Canfield with a property located at W274 S4649 Salesville Road. Is there a second to the motion?
just
Second the
second that.
motion. Oh, sorry.
A
I'm sorry, what did we have? Second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion.
I just have a comment. I just drove down Salisbury Road, and just for everybody's knowledge, I know the two people that are neighbors west of there, I guess you call it west, they both have old buildings, they're both got the metal roofs. So, and I know the style is metal roofs coming in versus asphalt, so I don't think that's really out of ordinary, but I think they'll be beautiful in your lot.
Okay, any further discussion? Tonight, I made the motion, it was seconded by Commissioner Sisney. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, passes unanimously. Village Board, I will make the motion to accept the recommendation of the Plan Commission for approval of the accessory building request for Bill Canfield for the property located at W 27446 S 4649 Salesville Road. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
That was by Trustee Kalinsky. Is that correct? My motion, second by Trustee Kalinsky for approval. Any further discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 17, discussion and possible action on a site plan of operation for Jordan O'Connor located at Action Power Sports at S14 W22605 Coral Drive Tax PWAKT 1298999. Discussion by the Plan Commission Village Board, possible action by the Plan Commission, possible action by the Village Board. Is the petitioner representative here this evening? Okay, you can come on up and just introduce yourself real quickly, and then you can hang out, and Sean will proceed, please.
Good evening, Jordan O'Connor, N173W21010 Northwest Passage, Jackson, Wisconsin. Architect on behalf of Action Power Sports, representing them tonight.
Thank you.
welcome.
Sorry I had to wait so long tonight, but we'll move on. Sean?
Thank you. So if you may recall that Action Power Sports was with us or in front of us October of last year. Basically, they wanted to build a 24,000 square foot storage building on the east side of the site. It's my understanding that that no longer is currently being proposed. And so there was some discussion back and forth about them changing some materials for that particular project. And so if that one comes back, it'll be something new, but this is an entirely different project. The purpose of this building is to basically create a showroom for watercraft and trailer sales. They're also asking for outdoor display of boats and trailers adjacent to the building that would front West Paul Parkway. So this is the landscape plan, but you can see the building here. And so this concrete patio area to the west would have display of watercraft and so on. The building is 100 by 200, 20,000 square feet, includes site improvements including parking, driveways, concrete patio display area, sidewalks, landscaping, and then associated utility infrastructure as well. The only comments I have, it meets the zoning requirements in terms of setback, offset height, use. Their plan of operation that I've listed at the top of page 2 is the plan of operation for their existing business. The second sentence sort of talks about the new business. New building to be used as a showroom for watercraft trailers and associated parts. Will include restrooms, offices, and a beverage station. Outdoor display of watercraft and trailers is permitted on the concrete patio along the west building face. They have 40 full-time employees for their existing business. The new building would add 4 to 8 new employees. Hours of operation are the same as were approved for the existing business and are listed in my report. They would start construction in fall of this year and complete it by spring of next year. In terms of the architecture, the only comments that I have are on the west face. There's an overhead door that basically faces West Paul Parkway. We don't allow overhead doors necessarily to face a public road. However, this door is a little bit different. It's a full glass door, basically with a window itself. If I can find the drawing. So here's a zoom of the front of the building. You can see that's an overhead door where they can get watercraft and trailers in and out for the storage area. And so that looks like a window, but operates like a door to get those in. So I just wanted to point that out. They're also proposing for materials of the building is painted precast concrete panels. So this isn't masonry block, this isn't brick or so on, but again, this would fall under finished materials to be approved by the Plan Commission and the board. So something to think about there. We do allow outdoor storage. There are some rules in our code regarding outdoor storage. Needs to be approved by the Plan Commission and board, cannot exceed 30% of the lot area, etc. They do not exceed those things. The landscape plan, in my opinion, is very well done and comprehensive. They have a detailed list of all plant materials and all the different requirements we have for building foundations, parking lots, perimeters, etc. And so they have provided more than enough landscape points to meet the requirements of our code. They've also provided a photometric lighting plan showing that there would be 0-foot candles at the property line, which meets and exceeds the requirements of our ordinance. In terms of the existing parking on the site, in addition to the parking for the proposed accessory building, there is adequate parking on the site. One comment I want to make about signage. There are portions on the building that are indicated for future signage. You can see there, I think they're basically in the top band up here. The way we regulate signage in the village of Waukesha is that it's for the entire site. They're limited to no more than 400 square feet of signage for the entire site itself, and they've already have approved 336 square feet of wall signage. So they're not asking for any new signage tonight, but I just wanted to point it out that they might be short for wall signage in the future. In terms of stormwater on the site, there's an existing pond in the northwest corner that is intended to serve the entire site as if it was impervious. I know Engineer Janelli has a couple of comments about that as well. So if the Plan Commission chooses to recommend approval to the village board, I do have a series of conditions consistent with the plan of operation I outlined and the plans that were submitted. Chris, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I have several comments about the site plan of operation. The first is that Coral Drive is a city Waukesha street, and so all work within the right-of-way of Coral Drive must be reviewed and permitted by the city. Copies of those approvals should be submitted to the village prior to construction. Water service connection to the water main in Coral Drive must be approved by the city of Waukesha Water Utility. And copies of those approvals should be submitted to the village as well. Plumbing approvals for sanitary, water, and storm proposed as part of this project must be obtained by from Department of Safety and Public Services with copies provided to the village. Stormwater and erosion control review and approval from Waukesha County will be required. As Sean mentioned, it appears at the submittal that the existing pond north of the project has been designed to accommodate the development. So copies of that county approval provided to the village would be desirable. It appears that the sidewalk between Coral Drive and the development will need to be removed and replaced to accommodate the construction of the proposed water service. This should be reflected on the demolition and site plans. We recommend a curb stop valve on the water service be provided, and we'll rely on where the water utility wants to put that. Sidewalk in front of the proposed building is being removed. We recommend that the sidewalk be reinstalled in some fashion to maintain pedestrian circulation within the entire property, as well as provide safe access between the building and Coral Drive. And then lastly, I noted that riprap should be placed at the discharge end of the proposed 10-inch storm sewer that is shown on the utility plan. And that is all I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. O'Connor, how'd they do?
Very well. I'm happy to answer any other questions, but these two pretty well summed it up. And if there's something with any of the conditions regarding the sidewalks, we'd be happy to look into that and figure out how we could, we have a couple plantings there in the corner but if that's something that we could work out if needed, a slight alteration to that and keeping the planting somehow, I don't see any reason why we would, not be somewhat receptive to that.
So do you have any issues to take with any of the conditions they set forth?
I do not.
All right, thank you. Plan Commission, Village Board,
It's the question of
discussion?
the concrete on the front of the building, Sean, you said it's the masonry, is that the entire front? Is it all of it, or is it-
The entire building is clad in painted concrete, precast concrete panels. So it's doesn't exactly meet the definition of decorative masonry block or brick, but it does say other finished materials as approved by the Plan Commission and Board in our ordinance, so that's something you have to consider.
I actually think for the renderings, I think the massing, the colors, the articulation, I think that could be an attractive building.
No, I agree, I just question if they're all
Sure.
that, because it does look very nice.
Okay, other questions, discussion?
So the previous approved project, is that dead? And if you would reconsider that, it would come back to us?
They were approved for a building with certain architecture. They have the right to,
Yep.
they have the right to pull the permits and build that building now, and it would
Okay.
be fine.
Indefinitely?
Not indefinitely, no.
What is the time frame on that?
The timeframe is, I believe was 6 months from the approvals,
Oh,
when
okay.
the zoning permit was issued. So that would have been October, so
Yeah,
maybe.
we must be coming, that must be
So they're,
passed.
yeah, so they're passed, so they would actually need to come back to the Plan Commission in the case of that one to get an extension if
Okay.
they wanted.
Okay.
As far as I've been told, it's not being considered at this time.
And I don't know that I'd care if they did. I mean, a growing business is a good thing to have, so just wanted the clarification. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion or questions, comments? Plan Commission, are you prepared to act? I'll make a motion to approve the site plan and plan of operation for Jordan O'Connor for Action Power Sports S14 W22605 Coral Drive, including the conditions set forth by Planner Malarkey and Engineer Janelli, and I so move.
I'd second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Made the motion, second by trustee Stigler. All in favor indicate by saying aye on the Plan Commission. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Village Board,
Make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Plan Commission.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by trustee Cirkin, second by trustee German to accept the recommendation for approval by the Plan Commission. Further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously, 5-0. A motion for adjournment of the Plan Commission would be in order at this time.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner White to adjourn. The motion was seconded by, I'll second it. All in favor indicate of adjourning the Plan Commission indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. We will proceed immediately so we can move this along with the Village Board meeting. Thank you, Plan Commission members. Village Board minutes, item 19, the meeting of July 23rd, 2020. Is there action to be taken on those minutes? I'll move for approval. Is there a second?
Second it.
All right. On that, I think up to you, trustee Kalinsky. This indicated that you arrived at 6:15. Might suggest that you might take a pass on that, but that's up to you. Okay, approval of the minutes? Since you weren't here for the entirety of the building. All right, I made the motion for approval in a second. No, I didn't. Who made the motion for
You made
approval?
the motion, I seconded.
Okay, I made it, second by trustee Stigler.
1 second, please.
Sure,
We're on the 23rd, right?
we are.
Yes.
On page 6. President Fisher moved to approve the release of ditch bond for Sarah Karstens in the amount of $1,000, seconded by Kalinsky. I believe I voted against that. It's noted as motion carried 5-0.
And I think that's true, and I pointed that out the last time. Is that consistent with everybody's understanding?
Yes, it is.
So we'll need to correct the minutes. So the motion then would be, if you accept the friendly amendment, it would be to accept the corrected minutes as corrected by trustee Durr. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Item 20, Plan Commission appointment. Item A is appointment by President Fisher of Daniel C. Buchholz to the Plan Commission for a 2-year term ending April 30th, 2022. That's the appointment that I am making. Daniel Buchholz has served previously for a long period of time with distinction on the Plan Commission. I think he'd be a great addition to it. Item B, confirmation by the town board of the appointment of Vice President Fisher, Daniel C. Buchholz as the Plan Commission for a 2-year term ending April 30th, 2022. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, motion was made by trustee German, second by trustee Stigler. Discussion?
I have a bit of an issue with this, given the fact that the chief is a full-time employee of the town. I think his input into many board issues is valued and necessary, including on the planning commission. But I think it should be represented as the fire chief. And I don't know that at all times it can both be represented as a fire chief and a citizen member of the planning commission at the same time. In addition to that, and I haven't researched it fully, but there may or may not be problems with the way he gets paid and the contributions to WRS and other things that can arrive by having a full-time employee of the village on the plan commission.
Okay, further discussion? Okay, then we'll proceed to vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
So the vote is 4-1 with trustee Dur opposed. Discussion possible action item number 21 on request for qualifications, RFQs for architectural and engineering services for a new fire station. Unless someone strenuously objects, I would like to push that downstream until we talk about item 22A, if there's no objection. We'll proceed to item 21B, discussion possible action on the Village of Waukesha Charter Ordinance. Trustee Dur?
I think on Sunday I emailed you 3 copies of the charter ordinance, the original that we started with from the Village of Richfield, the red line copies that we made as discussed at whatever meeting that was, I don't recall the date. And then to make it easier to read, I essentially accepted all the adjustments as a final copy, so to speak. There's much to do. As I noted, there was probably some formatting issues. I was more concerned about getting the verbiage correct and giving the board as much time as possible to review than I was about, formatting and indentations and exact numbering, because I was certain there was nothing that was going to be approved this evening. Items that we need to address for sure yet are, 1 minute. Are the Board of Appeals, excuse me, scratch that. The Board of Review still needs to be addressed. I got my copies mixed up, I apologize. I think I have a duplicate here. I didn't do the printing. But we have to also insert language about the joint commission with the town of Mugwanago and the village of Vernon regarding shared services, and for both of those municipalities also for the joint planning and as defined in our border agreement, and also for the Board of Review. So I'll entertain any comments that anybody has, but that's work still to be done that somebody needs to do.
Okay, trustees?
Is there a final deadline as to when we have to have this finally approved or not? Thought there
Probably
was.
2 weeks ago.
We want to try to get that done at our last meeting in August, do we not, if we can?
Yeah, it's real tough to know what the deadline is because of it's a charter ordinance. And if people on the 59th day after you approve it ask for the referendum, it won't be in place by December 1st. So our recommendation is you get it done as quick as you can. Everybody follow that, I can't do anything about the rule that they can demand the referendum. If they demand the referendum, it won't be in place probably on December 1st. If it's not in place on December 1st, we have certain issues.
Well, I mean, is there a way we can go ahead and the end of this next meeting then and have if we all get to review this now and come back with recommendation or changes and?
I think we need to do that, don't we? Does everybody agree? I mean, we need to
Yeah.
spend the time, the effort to do this, and this needs to be accomplished at the meeting on the 27th. Mike, you agree with that?
I agree with that, but then somebody needs to understand where or how they're gonna insert language about the Joint Municipal Court Commission, the Joint Planning Commission with the Town of Mukwonago, the Joint Planning Commission with the Village of Vernon, the Shared Services Commission with the Town of Mukwonago, the Shared Services Commission with the Village of Vernon, and the TIF Commission, of which I need the correct name of that. I didn't
Okay.
have that off of the top of my head. I mean, there's a ton of work to do in here, and I'm not exactly sure who we think is gonna do it in a time period where we don't have a clerk.
So is the issue the typing or the writing or what?
It's both. I mean, we have to gather the information.
Okay, are you taking the lead on that or no?
I am not. I
Oh,
took the lead on the initial pass of the changes that we made at the last meeting. Somebody else can take the lead moving forward. I'm happy to
all right.
relinquish.
We get any volunteers for that?
I can provide them with the 3 documents separately, the original, the current adjustments with the red lines in place, and the current adjustments with the red lines accepted, so that they can move forward and not have to start from scratch. But I just simply do not have the time to commit to do that. And it's essentially got to be done by a week from today. Or a week from tomorrow.
Okay, anybody got any suggestions? Well, while you're thinking of that, I got 2, they may be small things, but quick things, but I think important things on, trying to figure out where it is, but it's on the redlining, it's on page 7-2. I think, I thought we had decided to kind of follow where we're at. It says the term of the village president elected the first election on April 2021 shall be 1 year. I believe that needs to be changed to 2 years, so we stay on the same cycle we're at. Am I correct on that? So that is one change. The other one would
Okay,
be
just a
under the
moment, please.
fire commission.
Just a moment, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the
Maybe-
odd number years, the
No.
village president,
Maybe you're, okay, go ahead.
so what I have is that in odd number years, the village president and trustee 2 and trustee, the 4 trustees elected in the first election on April 6, 2021 shall serve terms as follows.
Two and four,
Yeah.
and the chairman or the president are odd numbered for 2 years, 1 and 3 are even years. So the village president thing, people
Well,
help me
let's
think
figure
that
out
through,
who's
is
gonna
odd years.
move this forward and they can make those adjustments.
Well,
That's the best
does
way
everybody
to do
agree
it.
that that's the way it's supposed to be, if we follow ahead with it? I mean, let's agree on the substance of it, we can figure out who's doing the clerical part of it.
Well, this would be your normal, the president's normal election cycle, right?
In 2021,
Yeah,
correct, for
okay.
2 years.
So, yeah, for 2 years.
Okay, so we agree?
Yeah, that's what I thought, we did agree last time, but
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
yeah, right? Yeah.
So we'll make that change,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Okay, good. Second thing that I have got then, I think, under the fire commission, I think there should be a provision put in there that no elected officials or members of the board can serve on the fire commission as well. Fire commissions, I believe, and police commissions are, the purpose of them is to be basically insulated from political influence, so I don't think it's appropriate to have elected officials serve on the fire commission. So I
Well,
would
I-
suggest that that be put in.
I disagree with that. I significantly disagree with that. And a matter of fact, in the Fire Commission handbook, it specifically states that elected officials are not precluded from serving on fire commissions. And there is tremendous value to having a bit of a liaison between the fire commission and the town board, or
Well-
excuse me, the village board.
I think they should be precluded.
Well,
We've got plenty of people in this town to conserve, so.
well, we.
Anybody else has
wouldn't
thoughts
appear
about
way
that?
Since we're having a heck of a time keeping it staffed.
Anybody else have thoughts about that? We have a respectful difference of opinion.
I've always been from that deal that the citizens were involved in the fire commission. That's my feeling on it. I agree with that it should be just citizens. We have enough to do here. I don't know that we should be involved with the fire. The fire department's been a separate entity forever. They've governed themselves pretty much. I mean, they do their own thing and ask for money from the town, but I don't know that we need to govern them. We never have in the past until recently.
Well, isn't the fire chief a direct report to the town board in our structure? Excuse me, the village board in our structure? Or do you not agree with that?
You see say that again?
Well, who does the fire chief report to? Or should he not report to anyone?
Well, he reports to at the village meetings, he reports on what's going on with the
Who's his
department.
boss? Or shouldn't he have a boss? Who does he report to?
Well, I guess he gives his report to the village board every month.
Never-
That's who he's reporting to. I mean, you're asking who was,
Okay, so he reports to the village board.
that's who hires him. Am I not wrong in that? Yes.
Well, the fire commission hires him.
Okay.
No, the
village
fire
board pays
commission
But then again-
appoints him. The village
Okay.
board hires.
Troy.
Okay, other opinions? We've got 3 people who've weighed in. Should elected officials be on the fire commission?
I'm fine with leaving elected officials out of it.
Out of it? Tom, in or out? So we got 4 out and 1 in? Okay, so we'll make that change then, okay? Anybody else have any other changes? So we still got the issue of how we're gonna get this accomplished. I guess if we don't resolve that tonight, I'll find a way to see if we can get it done, if nobody's gonna step up to do that. Bit disappointing, but so it is. All right, let's move on. Item
I will help you
21C.
do it,
What's
Ryan.
that?
I will help you do that. I'm
All
not
right.
going to take the lead on that.
Appreciate it.
It's not my level of expertise, but
All
I
right,
will.
we
help
understand.
somebody.
All right, I appreciate your offer for help. We'll see what we can do. 21C, discussion and possible action on extending office hours from 4 PM to 4:30 PM. President Fisher, I will move to extend office hours from 4 PM. This is Monday through Friday to 4:30 PM, and I so move. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. I'll just quick toss in, I think this is a perfect time to do it. We're doing changeover of personnel. 8 to 4:30 basically defines an 8-hour workday with a half-hour lunch hour. I think it's logical. I think it provides a little bit better service to citizens, so that's the reason I'm proposing this. Other discussion? Anybody? You prepared to vote?
Yep.
Who we got on the motion on the second on that?
I seconded it.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, 21D, discussion and possible action on ordinances and statutes concerning tree trimming and Chad Vendette's complaint. Thank you for hanging on. Attorney Macy, you want to, I know you spent some time with us, you want to take it forward?
Well, based on the hour, I think my letters, set forth my understanding of the law and your ordinances. But I did hear the requester say all he's asked is that his matter be sent on to the next step. So we may have jumped in with 2 feet on something that, if all he's asking for is that the complaint procedure be followed and that the complaint be signed and forwarded to the appropriate persons for the next step in the investigation, that's a whole different thing than the tree trimming thing. I don't know that I'm saying that very clearly.
Well,
No.
here, I'll ask the question. I don't understand why, number one, this is on the agenda for this evening, and why, number two, we spent any money for the attorney to prepare this letter. I mean, we have a policy and procedure for non-compliant complaints. And the first step of that procedure is all compliance inspection requests need to be submitted in writing by a person, filed with the town clerk, and signed by the town chairman prior to his staff conducting a site inspection. If the person wants to be kept anonymous, then they shall be directed to speak with a town board member and request the town board member to write the complaint and sign it on their behalf. The town board members are not required to serve as the complainant for a person, but may do so at their discretion. So, I'm sorry, I forget his last name, what was it?
Vendette.
He complained that this matter has been before the board for over a year, of which sorry, but I disagree with. He brought it before the board, I think it was a special meeting on July 11th, and that's the first that I ever heard about it. So I don't know why we're sitting here this evening talking about it. If we think that there's a legitimate concern that there's a code being out of compliance, sign it and let's move it along and be done with it.
Well, I'll answer your question, I guess. That's probably direct to me. I think there is a question about it, and if we can move it along, who are you thinking, the building inspector or the DPW director? Who's supposed to follow through on it? And they're basically going to look for direction on that, and I think that comes right back to a legal question. I mean, we can't duck that at this point in time.
The answer to the question is our code, in this aspect of the code, it clearly identifies the DPW director.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if we dump this to the DPW director, what are you expecting and I'll ask you and I'll ask Attorney Macy as well, what is the DPW director supposed to do?
Well, you said you were gonna ask me, and I'll tell you what I think you should do.
All right, go ahead. You can answer and you can
I think you should go out
answer.
there, knock on Mr. Vendetta's door and say, can you show me what your concern is? He should read the code, and if he thinks the concern violates the code, we should do what we do in every aspect, issue the ticket. Issue the 30-day letter and give the resident, the violator, an opportunity to either, number one, it's all right here. What we should do is right here. It was adopted by the board on January 8th of 2015. And then the person who the complaint was filed on has an opportunity to come before the board and ask for an extension, and if that's not granted, they're issued a ticket, and let's get on with it.
Okay, so is that your recommendation? We should send the DPW director out there?
Well,
I'm wanna know, is there a violation first, I guess, isn't that kind of the question?
Yeah.
Or the ordinance
Well,
actually says?
Exactly.
But the policy doesn't say the town board, village board decides if there's a violation. Okay? The policy says if someone writes a complaint, the chairman signs off on it, that the complaint's been filed, then whoever the person assigned does the investigation and determines. I have building inspectors come back all the time and say, this is a neighbor dispute, this is not a violation. And they don't issue the letter, they just notify the complainant, I'm sorry, I don't find a violation here, and the building inspector, reports that.
Well, hang on, I'm gonna take a time out for a minute, because if you look, even these things we've got, and you and I have even had that discussion, this is not just something where it's simply rubber stamp and send it through. So why on this, I mean, we can go down that path if you want, and we can do it and simply say rubber stamp stuff through, then who is the DPW? What's he supposed to do, and who's he supposed to turn to? He's never, I don't think our DPW director has ever done one of these things before in the history of the town of Waukesha or the village of Waukesha, has he?
Well, I wouldn't know the answer to that,
Well, I think the
Mr.
answer is
President.
no.
But the point is, the building inspector comes to me when he has legal questions on the code. Usually it's the building inspector or zoning administrator
Right.
who is the person, Sean Malarkey comes to me,
So
regularly.
then why don't you answer it now? I mean, why do we need to go through that? The question is there.
Well,
Skip,
he
no,
hasn't
just hold a
reviewed
minute.
it. He
Hold a
hasn't
minute.
reviewed it. It's not his job to review it.
Well, he
It's-
certainly has. He knows what the issue is, so time out for a minute. I mean, let's
said-
skip for a minute.
Have you gone
What
to
are you
Mr.
gonna do? Or
Vendetta's house to view this?
What's
Mr.
that?
Macy? Have you gone to Mr. Vendetta's house? You said he certainly has. I don't know that that's true.
So let's just play this out for a
Well,
minute.
Mr. Macy, have you gone to Mr. Vendetta's house to view this?
No.
Mr. Vendetta.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Macy said no. So Mr. Macy has not viewed this.
Fine. So if you want, assign it and send it along and tell the DPW director to call you in the morning.
There you go.
Okay? Is that what you want? And what are you gonna
It's
tell
not a question
him?
of what I want. I would tell him to go and investigate it, and if he has any legal questions, and he now has the supplemental information that the building inspector would not have had, so he has these letters to look to as guidance, and then based on the specific facts that he finds, he would call me and say, all right, now I want to apply those facts to the law, help me decide if this is a violation or not.
I don't think our DPW director is going there.
Well, it's what he's paid to do.
Do I get to comment on any of this, or you guys just thought the whole point?
You will in a minute. All right,
I mean, it's what he's paid to do. That's like saying he's not gonna go out and plow the roads.
all right. Is that what everybody wants? We can do that. Tell them to get in touch with you.
It's not what everybody wants, it's our policy.
Okay. All right, consider it done. Was there anything further to discuss on that? You're welcome to come back up if you want. We'll have the DPW director. Well, do it. Can he go, let me go back to one other thing, though. I think you've said he can't go on private property, can he?
I would recommend he not go on private property, but he can go on Mr. Vendetta's property with Mr. Vendetta's permission.
Mr. Vendetta, I think it is. We don't want to
Vendetta.
call you Vendetta anymore, right?
Vendetta.
That's not the right way to go. All right. Do you want the DPW director to come out?
Let me
and
back
sign
up a little bit. First is, I don't like being here talking about this anymore than you guys probably are.
Agreed.
This has been going on a very long time. And all I have been asking for since day one with my complaint was to follow the town, now the village's own code, which is section 14-27, abatement of tree disease nuisances. And I'll indicate why that's important in a minute. But on public nuisance description, item C, abatement of nuisances, duty of public works director. And then items 1 and 2 go down and tell and describe specifically what he's supposed to do. But the reason I say that's interesting, in the year of neglect of this issue, this tree has completely died. But it does exhibit the hallmarks of the emerald ash borer. So had this happened in the beginning, you would have seen the bottom of the tree with the sprouts coming out and still partial live, and you saw the final version of it with the dead looming branches that lean over my property that I must mow under by ordinance every week, wondering if that branch is gonna fall down on it and kill me. So, yes, do I want the public works director to go there? Yes, I do.
All right.
Do I want him to look at it, make a decision based on code? Yes, I do. If he needs legal help or whatever else he has to do, that's all up to you guys.
Okay.
That's not my thing. I'm just a regular citizen. I don't want to come back here anymore. But I'd like to get this done. If he needs access to see the tree, which happens to be adjacent to my property, if he gives me some notice, I have a German Shepherd, I'd like to know he's coming, so she
Well,
doesn't
he probably would too.
inadvertently, yeah. Just have him give me a call, I'll make arrangements for him to come over, he can walk right
Let
down
me-
my property, look right at the tree, and if he wants, he can stand under it and feel the same fear I do.
Let me go one step further, and I'm just passing information, the group can decide on. I have no idea whether this is true or not. The neighbor says that the property line runs through the tree, and I'm not here to debate that tonight or not. How would the village board like to deal with that? Or what would you recommend, Attorney
What I can
Macy?
tell you is, I did a property survey when I bought the property. The property line and the metal posts that are in the ground are still visible, and the tree is on her side of the property line and on mine. Further, I also have, and I believe I sent into the town, I think you called it the GIS, or whatever it's called, from the county of Waukesha, that shows the property line and where the tree is. So you can clearly see that her claim is false.
And it may be, do we want the DPW director to make that determination?
I can show him the metal pipes in the ground from when the houses were originally built in 1976.
He could start by taking a long piece of string with him.
It's not hard to see that it's not on my property. In fact, my neighbor put up a fence, he put up a chain link fence.
Okay.
And his fence ends, he just did this 6, 7, 8 years ago. His fence ends at his property line and also coincides with those metal pipes. So
Okay.
whatever she's saying is just a delay.
All right,
or diffuse.
we'll send the DPW director out and take it from there, okay? Anything else to discuss on that item tonight, gentlemen? Thank you.
Please
All
have him
right.
call me, you have my number.
Okay, we are on to item 22A. It's getting late in the hour, we won't spend a whole lot of time with it. I put this on here, consideration of options for funding the construction of a new fire station. I think we ought to have that discussion. We'll just do it very quickly tonight. I mean, it seems to me like the list of, well, let's backwards at it this way. We will not be able to construct the fire station that we've been looking at without additional funds. We ended last year, I think, with $2.2 to $2.3 million in the capital fund. This is probably a minimum of $3 to $4 million project type of thing. So put this on here. I mean, options are find some person or persons who want to make big donations. I believe, and I asked Attorney Macy to look at it briefly, we could borrow money. I think the village board has the authority to do that. Is that not correct?
That is correct. Up to
Okay.
your borrowing limits.
Could the village board could do that? Could this be put to the public, to a referendum to spend the money? I mean, we could exceed revenue limits, I presume, if anybody had a taste to do that. That's a possibility, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Okay, what other possibilities? Is referendum a possibility? Is that advisory, mandatory, depending on how it's worded? What?
Well, I know very little about advisory referendums because I don't think there's a lot in the law that actually sets forth anything on a procedure for an advisory referendum. I'm also not an advocate of advisory referendums
Okay.
because of the problem with questioning them. You can have a mandatory referendum to raise the levy limit to pay for the fire station. That would be a mandatory referendum if you wanted to go to referendum, and that would be the levy limit. That's the only mandatory one I know. There is bonding, but you never see anybody doing bonding anymore. There used to be reasons to do bonding, but I don't see bonding done, and I don't know a lot about that procedure because I haven't seen it, you know. So it's borrowing or raising the levy or having the money in savings to pay for it, are or a gift, as you've indicated.
Okay.
Those would probably be the four
And
ways.
it's not referendum to borrow. That's not one.
No, that's your
Okay.
choice to do. That would be advisory only, you know.
Okay. And if it were to raise the levy, is that something of permanency or?
It's a great
One
question.
time or
It's
what?
right in the statute. As part of the question on the referendum, you have to indicate of whether it's a one-time deal, whether it's a period of time, or whether it's every year.
Okay. Anybody, and we won't spend a lot of time, anybody have any preliminary thoughts about that? Is this discussion we want to continue in a couple of weeks or what?
I'd be in tune for borrowing, being that we're really trying to become a village here, or we are a village. I feel that we won't lose any more land over to the city. We can do better planning for the village.
Okay, while you're pondering that, I said we'd move past 21A, which is discussion possible action on RFQs for architecture and engineering services. Do we want to proceed with that, or do we want to hold on that until we further discuss where we're going to get source of funds? I'm open to suggestions on that.
I'd like to proceed with that also to keep this moving along.
All right, so we want to go with both of them simultaneously, both
Didn't-
discussions?
Wasn't there a vote on that at the last meeting, or the meeting before?
Right. So we'll continue with it. Put it out. Okay, any further discussion on that? If not, 22B, establish a date and time for members of the village board to participate in a field trip with one or more representatives of Waukesha County to review the remnant portions of County Trunk Highway TT Merrill Hills Road. Remember, we talked about that at the last meeting. Thoughts on that? When would you like to do that?
Can I ask what we're trying to accomplish by that?
Yeah, to go out and see the condition of those different pieces. We need ultimately to respond to the request for jurisdictional transfer, or what requests we're going to make them do. So it's to go out and actually see the condition of those to see where we're going to go.
So, just from my point of view, I'd be more interested in the engineer's opinion on that than,
Well, the engineer can join us. I think that'd be great.
well,
Public Works and engineer too, sure.
that's all that I'm interested in. I mean,
Well, you don't have to go. I guess you don't want to.
I'm
That's
not,
up to you.
I don't claim to be qualified to make judgments on
I understand
what
that, but-
condition roads are in.
Anybody else interested in doing that with the engineer, Public Works person to see it in the flesh? We've got some decisions to make. You'd go? Would anybody else go?
I'd go also.
I'll go.
All right, so when do the three of you, when would you like to go? Late some afternoon or what?
Late afternoons would work best for me.
Yeah, me as well.
Next Thursday, maybe?
For me, it's a maybe.
Huh?
I said afternoons are questionable, sometimes, yeah, I could probably make it.
Better time of the day for you? Early evening? I mean, we could do the 6 o'clock thing, is that better?
How long, this shouldn't take that long.
It's not gonna take that long. You wanna make it 6:30?
That's fine, I don't care, whatever these guys wanna do. They
Huh?
can make that, that's fine.
6:30 next Thursday? Okay. I have to find a way to get out, it'll be a public meeting. We will convene here, so 6:30 next Thursday.
We're gonna start here.
Yep. Okay. 23 reports, tentative construction schedule. President Fisher, asphalt, seal coating of roads with black boiler slag, crack filling of roads 2020, flex patching of roads 2020. This just came through this afternoon. I'll do it real quickly. I will distribute this to people tomorrow. This is informational, only a report type of thing, but I'll read this very quickly. This is from Josh Lorenzen at Thunder Road LLC. We got the issue squared away. They did get their contract. They returned it with the bonds. So that's in hand. I haven't looked at these yet, but he said attached are 6 maps that we made for our crew. There's a chance that if we finish our current project today, and that was in fact today, which would make that crew available for tomorrow, if that happens, I would start the Village of Waukesha crack fill on map 2 tomorrow. I will not know for sure till about 6 or 7 tonight when they're wrapping up. If they're unavailable tomorrow, we plan to start on map 1 on Monday and continue through the maps in order. We do have this bid for approximately 8 days, so we'd be on target to finish around the 25th or the 26th. I have CC'd Bob from Scott Construction. Remember, they're doing the slag work on this email, so he knows the tentative schedule as well. We also finished our flex patching job earlier today, and the crew is currently on Maple Hill Drive doing the flex patch project for you now. Should you have any fresh questions, feel free to call me. So I'll send this out. So if they can stay on schedule and weather permits, hopefully they will be done around the 25th or the 26th. Scott Construction hopefully will be right behind them. So any questions on that? That's the update. I'll send it along so people can see it tomorrow. So that's moving fairly quickly. Okay, another quick one here. I put it on here under reports offer from village residents Sarah and Brennan Karstens to discuss the vision for the Village of Waukesha website and to make improvements to it. Are you hanging for that yet? Why don't you come on up, tell us real quickly, and I believe I've got an email communication I'll pass along, but why don't you verbalize for people here what you have offered, please?
Yeah, what I've offered is I'm an IT professional by trade, so I've been in IT for 15 years. I currently work at Rockwell Automation. And I'm offering to provide some services to the town here to help with the updated website from being the town, being the village, as well as work on any additional items that you're looking for. I'm offering this as a pro bono service on my part. I would just like to participate and offer what I can.
Questions? I mean, that's an incredibly gracious offer. We got a lot of work that needs to be done on our website. To improve it, to make it more user-friendly, to pick up with the village part of it. I mean, there's a lot of work to do. And I think I did hear you say you're volunteering to do this?
I'm volunteering with
that
a
is,
reason.
Well, I understand.
Once we get in there and find out exactly all the work that's involved.
Sure.
I certainly hope that we can keep it.
Okay.
I vote yes.
I second.
All right, that's a no-brainer. We'll be in touch. I mean, obviously, Karen's trying to get her feet on the ground and stuff, so we're going to look at priorities and stuff, but we're looking out for all the help we can get. So if there's nothing more, thank you for that very kind and thoughtful offer. I'll send that email along. I mean, you pretty much verbalized it, but so people can see what that is. Okay? Thanks a lot. All right, then we are at 24 closed session, number 1, announced closed session. You are hereby notified that the Village Board of the Village of Waukesha shall convene and may upon a motion duly made and seconded and acted upon by roll call vote. It's required under Wisconsin Stats 19.851C. Going to closed session during the course of the meeting, village board members may attend the closed session. The purpose of closed session will be as follows: to confer with legal counsel with the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Specifically, to discuss City of Waukesha versus Village of Waukesha. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee German, Trustee Kalinsky, motion and second to go into closed session. We'll do this by roll call vote. I told Karen I'd call it out unless you're ready to do it, but I'll be happy to do it. All right, okay. So the roll call vote, Trustee Stigler.
Aye.
Trustee Durr.
Aye.
Trustee German.
Aye.
Trustee Kalinsky.
Aye.
President Fisher, aye. Okay, we are in closed session at 10:56, and we will be out as soon as possible.
What?
I think you can use this room.
Think so?